Hello, chess enthusiasts. I'm going to show you the main line of Fromm's Gambit with an example blitz game of mine, me being white, to show you how to destroy Fromm's Gambit main line. The other lines aren't really that impressive either. It's funny, at the club last night I was saying, yeah, Fromm's Gambit, it's a terrible opening. I'll be able to destroy it whenever, I play the bird. Nary is the Fromm's Gambit, a bane of mine. And ironically enough, I lost this game at the end, yet I had an advantage the whole time. So I'll show you what went down. F4, E5. F takes E5, D6, take. So this is the starting position of the Fromm's Gambit. Checkmate is threatened with this move, queen, right there. So we don't need that diagonal exposed because queen here, g3, and then bishop takes, check, and the king has nowhere to go on this diagonal. His only escape square is always blocked because it's on that same diagonal. And in order to parry that, I played knight f3 to parry that. And then here's this, what the heck? Here's this chess engine. Sorry, excuse me. So here's this chess engine. It's going to be following along with us, called Stockfish. It's free online. It's very strong. People say it's always right. I don't know about a polarity between right and wrong, but I agree with it here in this accuracy. Looks like white's up a pawn, even more than a pawn in the strongest lines. I don't really see anything wrong with that. I'm ready to agree with that. As I'm white and I play bird, so I'm for this. So I respond to the g5 move with g3. So he advances g5 to try to kick this knight and do that checkmate that I'm talking about. And I do g3 because it opens up for the bishop and it allows me to actually play knight to this square because that square is actually protected. So he pushes and then my knight is not vulnerable to the queen. And then knight e7, this is main line to put more pressure on the knight, get the h file open. Yet I have the anecdote to this because there's a sack line when they sacrifice, like, after the knights trade off. If I didn't play d3, if I did play d3, then I wouldn't be able to defend the g3 square with my queen, which is needed. So it's like this. He's opening this file, and I would have been facing pressure if I didn't trade knights. So the strongest move here is to trade knights, and then, see, this is what I'm talking about, because then he can't sacrifice rook takes, and then rook takes, and then bishop takes, because the queen's covering it. And it would have been like some kind of attacking line, or if I played, b3, then that would have actually resulted in checkmate. So that's why I'm like, doing this the way that I am. E5. So if we catch up with the engine, you'll see that white still has an advantage here. Big advantage to white, 0.86. And of course, we're following the game, and of course, white still has a huge advantage here. See, they're recommending this move right here, d1, d3. That's what I played in the game. d1, d3. My opponent played knight c6. I shored up the center. I've played these lines a few times. It's like they attempt to gain a tempo, but then I threaten the bishop with the pawn, and then there's a long-lasting pin that they might be able to get out of. That's kind of like what I'm showing here. Bishop e3, to get myself out of the pin, but then there's so much pressure on the pawn. So check this out. When I come to terms with this on Shredder, you know, they're saying the same move that he did, b8 c6, and then the same move I did. It's not Shredder, it's really Stockfish, but kind of similar engine, Shredder and Stockfish. And then they're saying the same move right here, tab 17. And then they're saying e2 to e4, yeah, that works. More than a pawn advantage. So d8, e7, same as the game. f1, g2, same as the game. Queenside castle, same as the game. And now I go bishop e3, same as the game. Now they're saying f5, e6, they just drop back then. And then, like, white moves their bishop back too. Protect against the sack. So this is what Stockfish, this isn't what happened in the game. They're saying that's the best move for black, and then white does this to prevent the rook sack on h2, which isn't a sack, and then bishop takes. Because if I don't drop back, if I just do this in this position, then... Sorry, I gotta go back for a second there. Yeah, so instead of dropping back like they did if I play a nothing move, like a3, then he can, just show you this quick, there's like this tactic, and this actually occurs in the game too, not the same one, but something like it. So he didn't drop back. I'm pretty sure he plays rook d to e8. So he plays that actually right away. Sorry, so Shredder or Stockfish rather say bishop back and then bishop back, but it's actually this rook move that he plays. Rook takes h2. So Stockfish was not saying this is strongest for black, and I took, and then he took, and then I moved over, and then he took. And gained back a little bit of material, but he's actually up a pawn here, but his position's under a lot more stress than mine is. He's looking a little sloppy here with these pawns. It looks like a mess. So we put that in Stockfish. Instead of dropping back, take. And then they're saying take 2, tab 16, h1, h2, d6, g3. That's a check. So let's let it breathe a little bit with this analysis. Alright, so now they're saying the same thing. They're saying, yeah, Joe, you did the correct move, going to this side. It's too dangerous on the king side. And I'm 2 pawns up here, according to them. I guess he could have played this knight move to e5. Yet I think that would have just tied more of his pieces down. And I still have a big advantage by moving the queen to f1 in this line. So I still have a big advantage here. No problems. You know, it was something that he could have flicked in, you know. And then I finally get to take this piece. It's really not that great for him either. And once I get my knight out, I'll be able to be up so much material. 2.41 at depth 19, not much of an advantage. Advantages are going up and up as I leave that to breathe more. So I move over, which is what I did in the game. And then, see, except this is a little bit different here than I had actually. I did bring that knight out. So he moved his rook over, and then I brought the knight out. So that's even probably better. So that's an example of kind of like a Stockfish line then. So c1, e3, this is actually what happened in my game. This is even better for white. White's got a big advantage here. And they're saying like f6, which is so passive. I'm sitting on a huge edge here. Um, so if you look at the actual game, this is really funny. He took there, and then he did that. Okay, and then I dropped the bishop back to get out of the pin, so I could threaten taking the pawn. I drop back, which makes e takes f5 possible, and yeah, so this is kind of good analysis. The main line of Fromm's Gambit right here, you know, this will make you some cash if you know this. People still play this for real, for real. He went all the way down here, so yeah, I got a huge advantage in this position. They're saying e1, e2 might be better. We'll let that breathe because the position is slightly different, and that makes this actually on the cards. This pawn takes. So I missed that. It was a 5-minute game. I guess that's really the strongest stuff there. In this particular position, because the nuance is there'll be 2 pieces guarding this bishop, and then that's threatened. So after he takes, then I can actually take this. This is a massive game for white. It'd be a cold day in hell when you lose that. So, yeah, not that it matters too much now. We found a better move, but I slid over like this. But yeah, it's better to come up there, protect the bishop. So now that I have that in my mind, it's so good. It's like, okay, let him do that sack. Yeah, let him do that sack, and then take there. It's fine. This whole game's, you know, fine. Let him do the sack, and then just move up here, and that's good. There's really nothing that black can claim. The game was white's from the start because he chose to play Fromm's Gambit. This is the main line. Someday I might do videos on the other line. This is the main line, and man, the rook pressure, and then the knight, and then the sack. So, lesson learned in the main line. King up instead of king over when they do that check is the crush. White would have to work hard to lose this game. White's got a huge advantage. According to Shredder, over 3 points. According to Stockfish, I meant over 3 points. Yeah. There we go. Mainline Fromm's Gambit. Busted.